All right, hello. We have not done an L5R video in a while, but here we are. We are here today to talk about Under Fuleng Shadow, this wonderful game, Under Fuleng Shadow. Under Fuleng Shadow is, for those who aren't aware, the co-op expansion to the Legend of the Five Rings LCG. So the Legend of the Five Rings LCG, we have it here, is a competitive LCG 1v1 multiplayer. There was multiplayer as well, and the Underfilling Shadow is the basically it's a co-op expansion designed to be played using the same rule set as the competitive game. You can play it with up to 5 people, with one person taking the role of the Shadowlands, so the evil basically in the game. I'm just going to move this camera a bit closer. Ignore the yeah, that looks a bit better. With one person taking the role of the Shadowlands, so the evil faction, or you can have the deck automated. So there's cooperative and challenge mode, the two sort of modes. So you can either play 1v4 or you can play 4 versus 0. I have, so the upfront is that I was one of the playtesters for this format, so I have been playing it on and off for a year. I have found myself that the challenge mode is the most fun, especially if you pick your evilest friend and give them the deck. So just to review the set, I mean, it comes in the standard sort of big box. The art is, of course, top quality as always. You can see here Akuma no Oni with that famous triple forked tongue fighting a Shigenja. I don't recognize the Shigenja, so maybe they'll be in the player box. As always, there's components, there's some player cards. There's some new tokens, which are tainted tokens that are really nice and green. We'll talk about those in a bit. And then basically the engine and the core of this deck is this, which is new. You'll see it's gorgeous, formatted Shadowlands set. The Shadowlands set is made up essentially of three champions, which are warlords, kind of like in Commander. They sit outside the game. And they have abilities that will trigger like a stronghold, but they can come into play. They have two sides, cooperative and challenge. The distinction being mostly that the cooperative version is automated, whereas the challenge version is something you can do, as an active player. The main thing, and the main thing to remember is their abilities work outside the game, but obviously their stats don't work outside the game. So that'll kind of sit there. Then, of course, you have the Shadowlands province cards. Shadowlands starts with 5 provinces, which is a bit different from the player format. And then you'll have, in this deck, there's basically a set number of dynasty and conflict cards. So for those of you familiar with L5R, you'll be used to what these look like. We'll just grab out the dynasty ones, which are apparently missing. Oh, no, there they are. Okay, cool. Bog hags. Representing all the little beasties. Now, the main thing to note about these, and people were kind of speculating how Shadowlands was going to work. If you look at the cards, they all have, all of the features you'd expect. They also have this little diamond at the bottom, and that diamond lets you know what set they belong to, because each of the sets is set up. So if you look at page 7 of the rulebook, it will tell you how to build each of the 3 warlords for both competitive and cooperative play, and it will tell you to include encounter groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, for example. And then you'll go through this, you'll find all the ones that have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the diamond in the bottom left, if I can just get that up there. My camera doesn't like focusing that close. But you'll see in that little diamond the number, and you include those to build your deck, right? The other thing to note is that some of the cards, mostly the warlords, they do have this per player symbol on them, which is this little diamond. Maybe I can show you in the rulebook if that's a bit easier. They have this little diamond on them, and basically when that shows up, you do that number for the number of players. So Warlords, for example, will give you 5 fate per each player. Very important to note. The Shadowlands also has different ring effects, which will be interesting to anyone who's played the main game. They're slightly weakened. So when they resolve, they're kind of just slightly, they're not slightly weakened, they just kind of remove the positive effect. So like the air ring makes you lose one, everyone lose 1 honor. The earth ring discards cards from provinces and the hand. The fire ring taints characters. There's kind of different things. When you break open the rulebook, you'll be able to see those. So once you've built your deck, which I'll do off camera in a second, and then I'll go through to a playthrough, because I need to take a break before I record the second half of this. Once you've built your deck, you kind of set up with 5 provinces. Some of the provinces start tainted. I don't think they all start tainted. The Shadowlands player has no hand. Basically, when the Shadowlands player has an action, you'll flip the top card of the deck, and you'll do it if possible, if you can pay for it. If you can't do it, you will flip another card, as far as I remember. And there are lots of other little things. So, like, if you look at the cards, they'll have a cost, which is fate, and they'll have a reinforcement cost, which is how much fate you put on it when the character comes into play. I'll dig more into this when I'm sort of playing down the actual gameplay, because then it'll be a lot easier to explain. But the Shadowlands, the phases pretty much happen as you would expect. You have a phase, they have a phase. The Shadowlands will sort of buy every character they possibly can from left to right. I want to talk just briefly, before I get into the actual gameplay later on, about how actually fantastic this is. I have kept a set of this sleeved up in proxies and played it every now and then by myself, just with a deck. It's really fun, enjoyable way to use your L5R cards as a solo player, and played with friends, it is actually fantastic. So I really would recommend this set, and we're going to dive in a little bit more once I get set up. So, stay put for the latter half of this video. It's going to be fun. Okay, so rather embarrassingly, my microphone was not switched off for the last 10 minutes or so. Well, no, I'm going to cut off basically the previous video. I'll just explain where we got to where we are. So Shadowlands deck, conflict deck, recognized. Shadowlands has 5 provinces. Those are set in the rulebook. The way the dynasty phase works, the Shadowlands player will get the amount of fate on the warlord multiplied by the number of players. The Shadowlands player basically just automates. He buys characters from left to right as long as he can pay for them. I say he, as long as it can pay for them, sorry. Let's correct that nice and quickly. Whereas you have a normal dynasty phase. No one gets passing fate, so there's no need to rush. The Shadowlands player will just keep buying characters until it finishes. You fill 1 card in each of the Shadowlands places face up, and you don't refill them straight away. If there's 1 card in a province, even next dynasty phase, it'll still get another one. And you basically buy characters from left to right. So for example, this character was here. He cost 3. Shadowlands player had 5 fate, so I paid 3 fate. And then he gets reinforced by the amount of fate on the character, on the reinforcement number. That comes from the general pool. So even if I can pay 2 fate for him, 3 fate for him, he doesn't take the 2 fate. He just takes 2 fate from the general pool, and that's how much he's got on him. So then we do the draw phase, where I bid whatever I want on the dial as normal, and we reveal the top card of the Shadowlands deck. There aren't a lot of 5s in the Shadowlands deck. In fact, there are no 5s in the Shadowlands deck. So you really bidding 5, you're always going to lose some honor. So I bid 3, I lost 1, and this was discarded. And that's just how you do the draw phase. You flip the top card of the deck, you compare it to what you bid, and then if it's higher or lower, you gain or lose honor. So it's just something worth keeping in mind. Then we move on to the conflict phase. So I've kind of shortcut a bit there, but I think it's fairly self-explanatory. You do Dynasty the way you normally would. Shadowlands just buys left to right. If you reach something you can't buy, you skip over it if you can buy something else. So if there's a 4 here and there's a 1 here, then you skip to the 1 and you buy that. And you just keep going left until you've run out of enough fate to buy things. So then, when you get to the conflict phase, one of you will have a first player token. In this case, it's me, because I won the dice roll. In the Stronghold version of the game, the players have 2 options to declare a conflict, and the Shadowlands player will declare as many as it can. In Skirmish, obviously, because you can play this game as Skirmish, you only have 1 opportunity to play a... 1 opportunity to do a conflict on either side. So the Shadowlands player will only do 1 conflict as well. So the Stronghold version can be a bit rougher in that way. The important thing to know then is about the waves. So Shadowlands, basically, the automation of the deck is controlled by waves. A wave is everyone who has the same amount of fate on. Shadowlands characters do still lose fate at the end of the turn and will disappear if their fate is gone. So this is one wave, the wave of one fate guys, and this is the wave of two fate guys. And if I get more characters on the board, then I'll have a few more waves of characters. Waves will basically always attack and defend the next attack or defense. So if I attack now, because I'm the first player with my character, this wave will defend, and I'll only have to deal with the attack from Foul Eyes Elite, which could be a good choice. Hard to say yet. But essentially, that's kind of how the automation goes. The only thing really that fouls with that is if you have characters with a dash, and they do exist in the deck, those cannot form part of the same wave. The players will choose whether they want it, which side of the dash they want, military or political, and the other character will just sit back and become basically the next wave, because it'll have a specific amount of fate that the next level of characters won't, unless there are, like, say, 2 military dashes and 2 political dashes. So it'll just be in a wave by itself after that. So you have to kind of watch that, because it can mean the Shadowlands are getting another conflict when all your guys are bowed out. Generally what I found is attacking is a good form of defense, because it does force a percentage of the Shadowlands board to bow, and attacking with a small character or when you've got a ready is actually a really good way of getting that little extra bit in. So I'm going to attack now. I'm going to attack this Rakshasa because she's pretty strong, and I want to see if I can get her off the table. And the Bloodthirsty Kanzen is going to defend, because that's part of the thing. The Bloodthirsty Kanzen is tainted, so if you read this tainted token, you'll see that tainted can affect provinces, or it can affect characters. On a character, it gives +2/+2, and as an additional cost to declare this character as an attacker or defender, you have to lose 1 honor. The Shadowlands player does not lose honor. In one version we tested, the Shadowlands player did lose honor, but it turns out that you were winning by honor gain, because when the Shadowlands player lost honor, you gained 1 honor, which isn't how it works anymore, so don't worry so much about that. Alright, so I'm attacking. This is the defender. We flip the province, and we'll see what it does. It's going to be horrible. And it is called Defiled Cavern. After a conflict is declared against this province, place 2 random characters in your dynasty pile on the bottom of your deck. Okay, well, that's kind of good, because it doesn't really affect this early in the game. You'll see that it has strength multiplied by the number of players that are attacking. That's just important to note. And then as a defensive player, the first thing the Shadowlands are going to do is going to take their first action. So their first action is called Spiritual Isolation. You can kind of have a bit of a look there. It's an attachment, -2/-2 for 1 fate, attached to an opponent's character. Other Shadowlands attachments cannot be played on attached character. Treat attached character's printed text box as if it were blank. So the last fate is going to get spent, and now my Monastery Protector is a blank 1/1, which is pretty grim. Pretty grim. Okay, and its text box is blanked. So I'm going in with a 1/1 versus a 2/2, because it gets the bonus from being tainted. And now I have to decide, do I want to pump this? How am I going to do it up? So I think I am, just because I want to see if I can break. So I am going to play a Hurricane Punch and draw a card. That doesn't work in this format. So I think I explained before I realized my video wasn't working, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm playing the Atsuko, the Calamitous, into basically what is my last competitive deck from this game, which I played at the Dublin Kotai about 2 years ago. And the main reason I'm doing that is just because I didn't have time to build a deck this week, and I really wanted to get this video out. But also, I have a list of obviously decks that we tried against the Shadowlands in testing, and things that worked and didn't work. But I don't really want to give that information away. Like, to me, the Shadowlands is very much a try things out, mess with things, have fun kind of set. And if I come and say, oh, well, we play tested this deck 20 times, it was really good, then people are going to take those decks and they're going to use them. And that's good in some ways, but I also kind of I want to avoid that, because I think that this is a deck this is a set that's going to reward, and you're going to enjoy the experimentation. And, you're going to get benefits from trying out different things and enjoying it yourself. That's part of the purpose of a set. So I'm deliberately not sort of going back into the archives of our playtesting information from 2 years ago and trying to figure out what would be the optimal deck for this. I don't really want to go down that route. So I play Hurricane Punch. I get +2. I draw a card. I drew another Bonsai. Very nice. The Shadowlands deck cannot play this card because it doesn't have the Fate. So this card is 2 cost -8 -0. Says attached character cannot have other attachments. But it's a really big sort of shutdown card. So if the Shadowlands player can't play the card, so if it has no valid targets or it doesn't have the Fate, then it basically passes its action, which is fine. So I'm going to Bonsai then, and I'll lose my honor to get my bonus. So I'll just go down. I'll have 9 honor already, which is not good. You really do have to watch because you can't draw that many cards against the Shadowlands because there's no guarantee they're going to bid high or low. But now I am sitting on, so I've got -2, +6, so I'm on 7 versus 2. So I will check to see if there's another action. Ooh, okay. So there is an action. Choose a participating non-Shadowlands character, dishonor that character. You may spend 2 Fate to resolve this ability twice. So the Shadowlands player has no Fate, but my character is now dishonored, which hilariously will take me down from So it will take me down from 6 to 4, which means I'm now not breaking, but I really want to break. So, sorry, I was on 7, so it takes me down to 5. So I'm not breaking now by 2, but I really want to break, so I'm going to Hurricane Punch to draw a card. And then let's see what they do to me. Okay, they can't play that, so the Shadowlands player passes. I will pass as well. And just let me check if I have to yeah, so basically there's no, I don't have to force the Shadowlands player to pass. When the players pass, the Shadowlands player automatically passes. So there, because I took an action, the Shadowlands player got an action. But when I said pass, I don't have to check that the Shadowlands player is also passing. I can just see whatever happens. So I'm now on +8 -4. So I'm on sorry, let's just make sure I've done my maths correctly. So I'm on -4. Yeah, -1 +8, which means I'm on 4. I really haven't played L5R in quite a while, as you can see, going into 2. So I actually do need more strength to break this province. How much more? If I played, then I'd get +10. That's max 1 per conflict, so I can only get to 8. No, I'm counting this wrong. It's +8 -4, but that would take me down to -1. Then I'll get +8, so I'll be on 7. 7 to 2, so 5. So I am actually breaking. So I will break that province. What ring did I declare this on? That's a good question. Let's declare this on the Earth ring. I need to draw some cards. Yeah, and I didn't know my character was dishonored, so I need to draw some cards. Okay, cool. So that'll be my turn. Both of these will bow. And yeah, so then it will be the Shadowlands' turn to declare an attack. So Foul Eyes Elite. Typically, the Shadowlands player will attack with the strongest stat it has. If there's a tie, the players can choose. But you can't just like say, "Oh, we'll take this on 2." At least I don't think you can. 1 second. No, I tell a lie. The players choose the conflict type. So I can actually have Foul Eyes Elite attack me on political if I want to. This is a rule I'm not actually sure I agreed with at the time. I always thought that they should automatically attack on their strongest stat. But for whatever reason, this is what it is. And obviously, if someone else was playing a game with the Shadowlands deck, they could choose. So what I do here, and this is where things get interesting, to determine how the Shadowlands player attacks, I need to take 4 dice. At one point this was 5 dice, but I need to take 4 dice, and I have to put one on all of my provinces. I don't have to put them in order, and it's kind of important. You can put them wherever you like. And then I flip the top card of the deck. So this deck will be attacking 1 on the fire ring. So remember, if the fire ring, if they win this conflict, they will taint my character, which will give me a bonus, actually, but also make me lose honor. So they hit upholding authority, which obviously shouldn't be in here. But it does have 5 strength, because I am playing Seeker of Earth. So they'll come in. I'll pass. I have no actions, so they'll automatically pass, which means he will win the conflict on the fire ring. Can't bow my character because it's already bowed, and I will get a tainted token from the Shadowlands fire ring. So that will give me +2/+2, but whenever I declare as an attacker or defender, I lose an honor. So that's pretty bad. But all right, we're gonna have to make do. You can see putting all that fate on that one character has gotten it kind of neutered, so it's a bit rough. Then at the end of the conflict phase, Killing Field triggers, which discards every card from my provinces. Yikes! I probably should have taken that down, but I didn't, so that's all right. And then every character loses 1 fate, including the Shadowlands player. The Shadowlands player will get 5 fate again, since it spent everything last turn. And you can kind of see, like, the Shadowlands player isn't doing a lot to me, because there's only 1 player. The second you add another player, they get twice as much fate, and suddenly, all of these nasty cards are coming out. There are a lot of cheap ones as well. So I flip up. Ooh, Mia Mystic could be very good for getting rid of that -2/-2. The Shadowlands player fills 1 from left to right as well. Trying to Jigoku, and then fills 1 even if there's a card already there. Okay, cool. And then you just buy from left to right. So Goblin Brawler comes in. Let's turn these the other way around. Goblin Brawler comes in for 2 fate with 1 on. Insatiable Gaki comes into play with 1 fate with 1 on. It is corrupted, so I'll handle that in a second. This is going to get quite messy as the hordes start to take off. We can't buy Tudor Gyushi, but we can buy the Bog Hag, so we'll buy the Bog Hag. And then you can start to see the formation of a very, very large Shadowlands wave, and I'm not the first player anymore, so that's a bit scary. So I think I am going to try and just get a bit of a longer play going. I'm going to buy this Venerable Fortunist with 2 fate on, because that will give me a bit of options. And then I'm going to buy the Mia Mystic as well. So that'll be all my fate, but I don't think I need much of it anyway for my hand. No, I tell a lie. I might need some of that. Still, that's okay. We're gonna just buy these 2. So that'll let me get rid of the Monastery Protector. Okay, so we go to draw phases again. I'm on 9 honor, so I think I'm going to bid 3 again. Let's see what we get. Okay, 2, so I lose 1 honor. And I draw 3 cards. Okay. Okay, so then it's the time to declare conflicts. Now, the Shadowlands player is first player, so they're going to attack. Now, you might think that all these 1 fate guys are going to attack me first, but actually, this Bloodthirsty Kanzen with 0 fate on is the first wave, so that's actually going to attack me. And I'm thinking, thank Christ, because otherwise, these 4 guys may attack me next. But next turn, these will all be 1 wave, so, take it or leave it. That's going to be pretty rough. So, let's see where they're attacking. So, they are coming into Blade of Chaos, so 4 Void. So that'll be a conflict here over at number 4, Restoration of Balance. Again, you can see that this is not an optimized deck for this environment, because I'm still running hand-attacking cards against the Shadowlands. But that's okay. We're just going to keep going. like you can run some interesting stuff. You can run stuff like just big defensive cards. You can run ancestral lands. You can run cards that let you draw or take fate off the opponent to mess with the waves. So just this bloodthirsty Kanzen coming in. I think I am going to defend with a Venerable Opportunist. And one thing that's interesting, so when the players pass, the Shadowlands automatically passes. So as far as I remember, they don't have to take an action. Let me just check. This is one of those things that I think might have changed. Oh no. This is the change, right? So you'd think if I passed, the Shadowlands player would automatically pass as well. But what happens is the Shadowlands player always takes the first opportunity in the conflict. So even if I do nothing on the defense, the Shadowlands player is still going to do something to me. Thankfully, it has revealed something that costs 2 fate and therefore cannot play it. So that will consider a pass from the Shadowlands player. I will pass as well, which means this Venerable Opportunist will bow, and I will have dodged the onslaught for a turn. So then I have to decide what I'm doing with my own characters. And I think the answer is going to be to declare an attack. Now I have to choose what I want to attack on, because they have a lot of 4s and they have a lot of 1s. So they've got 9 military and they've got 9 political. So it's going to be hard to win a conflict here, but I have to attack, because if I don't, then I'm going to basically lose an option. Okay, I'm just playing with myself. I'm going to be a bit generous with myself. I'll say I've only put 1 fate on this, because I have looked at my hand. So I do know that I have a lot of cards like Halt Tattoo that give me a boost, but I need 1 fate for them. And then I'm going to give the Monastery Protector a Tattooed Wanderer. Well, actually, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because if I covert someone, then that person is going to be attacking me next. So I really have to be careful about how I do that. I think what I'm going to do is just attack with these 2 into this killing fields, because I don't want it to mill away my Mitsu. And let's see what we find under here. All right, so we have Forgotten Tomb of Leng. After a conflict is declared against this province, choose a character in your dynasty discard pile. Put that character into play in the conflict as a defender. Place 1 fate on it. Well, there's only 1 character in the discard pile. It is this Rakshasa, and I am really happy that I attacked. I'm attacking on Earth, but I'm really happy that I attacked, because otherwise I would have some serious problems here. However, this Rakshasa, I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll give you a bit of a zoom in. She's one of the 6 cost really strong characters. So she's 4 for a 2/7. She's corrupted, so she comes into play tainted, which means she's actually a 4/9. Yikes. When the effects of an opponent's event would initiate, spend 1 fate, cancel those effects, limit twice per round. So thankfully, the Shadowlands player doesn't have any fate, but if she did, it would be crazy. So all of these guys form 1 wave. All these people, these things, they're not really guys, are they? Some of them are. All these things are now defending, and yeah, I have to basically go up against all of them. They have I think I haven't corrupted this Gaki either. I think you can start to see how this can quickly ramp up against you and be quite tricky, actually. So they have a combined total, we're attacking on military, of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I have a total of... Well, actually, I guess those cancel each other out. So I have a total of 3. No. Those cancel each other out. I have to lose 1 honor to declare this conflict. I already did that. No, I didn't, actually. I have to lose another honor. So I get... Those cancel each other out. So I'm just 1 force over here. I have 2 force. Do I think I'm going to win this conflict? I do not. But, I mean, love a try. So I'm going to use my Mere Mystic. Let's discard that to get rid of this spiritual isolation. Then it will be the Shadowlands. Well, actually, they take the first action, don't they? They can't play that, so they pass. That's fine. That costs 2 fate. So then It's their action again because they get the first one. Choose a participating ready character. Until the end of the conflict, that character gets +5 and cannot be bowed or moved home by opponents' card effects. Yep. So we'll give that to the schemer. And then, I mean, I'm doing 1 force, 3 force versus 17. I don't think I have the stats for that. No, no, I don't think so. So I think I just need to pass, and I'm going to lose that conflict. But they don't get the ring, so that's okay. Or they don't get the ring, yeah, because it's only on the attack. Oh, there's a rule I've forgotten. Um, Yeah, is that when you break a province from the Shadowlands deck, you actually discard the top 5 cards of a deck. So you actually do get closer to winning, even though you can't, even if you don't take all the provinces. Because remember, when the Dynasty deck runs out, you do actually win. When the Conflict deck runs out, you reshuffle it because this is needed for all the automation. When the Dynasty deck runs out, you do actually win. So that's the end of my turn. And the Shadowlands player, these are all bowed because they all have the same amount of fate on. So those go away. The Shadowlands player gets 5 fate again. And these lose 1 fate each, but I get 7. I need a bigger table if I'm going to play this game and stream it. Right, okay, well, I get 7, so I should have 8. Okay, cool. And Mitsu's still there. No, he's not, because we'll draw a card with that. And then Killing Fields will actually just interrupt and destroy all of my stuff. So that's a factor. But we can flip, and this is gone as well, isn't it? Yeah. So the Shadowlands player has lost 1 character at least. Shambling Servant, Goblin Brawler, Skeletal Warrior. So one thing you might have noticed at this point is that yes, the Shadowlands player can summon quite a horde, and yes, the holdings are very impactful because sorry, this should have gone. Yeah, because it will get discarded at the end of a turn if it's broken. They don't just sit there. So the holdings do quickly add up. Yeah. If left alone. And the Shadowlands is going to buy 3 more characters this turn, which is starting to get a bit scary. I have a Seeker Initiate. I have another Seeker Initiate. I have a Dagashi Mendicant. Okay, cool. So. I'm probably going to buy this guy with a Phaeton. And this guy with a Phaeton. And then I'll keep 3 fate. That'll be fine. And then the Shadowlands player is pretty much going to buy everything. I know it's getting a bit messy. I'm really sorry about that. Going to buy those. Going to buy the Skeletal Warriors. And this gets 2, 1, 1. Sorry, I realize I've missed some triggers, actually. I was supposed to discard the top 8 cards of my conflict deck. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yikes. And I was supposed to discard a card from my hand. So let's get rid of Ocean and Drop. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so just some triggers that I missed that you need to do. There's a lot of on-win triggers in the Shadowlands deck, so you've kind of got to watch out for them. So I'm now on 7 honor, not feeling so pleased. I'm probably only going to bid 2 just because I I don't think I could afford to lose much honor, but that was 4, so I don't think I gain honor if there's a difference. Let's just remind ourselves. Let's just remind ourselves. No, I do. Okay, cool. Good. It used to be the Shadowlands player didn't give you honor even if you bid lower, but I think people were dishonoring too fast, so it didn't really work out. Cool. So I draw 2 cards. Those could be good. Yeah. Okay, and then the Shadowlands player is going to attack me. Oh wait, I'm first player now, aren't I? Hmm. Oh, I am. Does that mean I get to avoid the massive swarm? Oh, it does. Okay, awesome. So let's do that then. I'm going to send in my lovely Tagashi Mendicant, and that will pull out this guy. This guy. Sorry, I keep saying guy. They are very much creatures, rather than people. So, and that's a bog hag. I mean, that's definitely not a guy. Neither is the Rakshasa. So basically, all these 5 have to defend against my 1 cost guy. They will obliterate him. And this is kind of where you have to choose, because if I lose another 8 cards from my deck and 1 card from my hand. But I can also bow that whole army. These 2 will attack into me now, and then I'll only have to deal with the Shambling Servant. So I could actually get a second quite strong conflict in, which could let me get closer to my winning the game. And all these people are going to go away. So if I can tie them up, it might actually be worth it. So I'm going to send in my Mendicant. The Shadowlands player has not got any fate, so isn't going to do that. And then I'm going to pass. So I will lose the conflict. So I will lose... 5, 6, 7, 8. Yikes. And then I will have to discard a card from my hand, so we'll get rid of Prayers to Ibisu. And then choose a character controls with equal or lower skill than this character. So that's going to get rid of this Monastery Protector. Because, I don't know, I always choose the harder option. Then I get another opportunity. So then the Shadowlands player will attack me, which will be these 2 characters coming in on a military, on a void conflict. Has to be military because there's a dash, into Restoration of Balance. So military void, what does void do again? Let's have a bit of a reminder, a refresher. Void, I think I've gone past it. Here we go. Void. Each opponent moves 1 fate from a character they control. That's not so bad. So I think I'm not going to defend. I can't remember if there's no defensive honor loss in this format. Okay, yeah, for unopposed there is an honor loss, so that's fine. So I lose 1 honor. They'll break my province, and I'll remove 1 fate from the Seeker Initiate. Yeah. Okay. That's broken. Card gets discarded. Yeah, always. If there's something like, can you discard a card? The Shadows player will always discard a card. This can't be attacked anymore, so if a 4 comes up, we will flip another card. However, these are bowed, which is a relief. And then we just have the Shambling Servant, which is a 3/3 to contest with. Now, I think we're going to come in with these 2, or we'll go on Military Earth against the Forgotten Tomb of Fuleng over here, which keeps discarding cards from my provinces, because I really need to get that over, though this is going to make me lose 1 honor if the conflict phase... This just says if the conflict phase ends, each opponent loses 1 honor. So I kind of need to be wary about that as well. But we're going to go here, because I already know what it is, and it's not... but I really don't want to go there. Really don't want to go there, because they'll get one of these characters back. Ooh, that's painful. Okay, well, I have to choose. Maybe I don't really care about the cards in my provinces, but let's go here. Right, let's go here. So, maybe it'll be better. All of the provinces are really bad, though. Okay, so this is slightly better, but not really better. After a conflict is declared against this province, our lovely haunted jungle, choose 1 character in your province. It's 1 per player, by the way. Put those characters into play at this province as a defender. So Tudor Gayushi is going to come into play defending at this province, right? So unfortunately, we're having a lot of technical difficulties this evening for this game, so I might have to play another one because the recording stopped just a while ago. I did actually break that haunted jungle that I attacked. And I'm subsequently in a position where the Shadowlands player has 7 characters on the board, 5 of whom have no fate. They've attacked my stronghold once and almost broken it. And I had to play pretty much most of my hand. And I have no cards left in my conflict deck. They have no cards left in their dynasty deck. So if I survive this turn, I actually do win the game. But I'm just trying to illustrate how close it is. So I've got a bit of fate. I'm not anywhere near dishonoring. I've only got 2 characters on the board against 7. But, there is still a little bit left to play. So I'm really sorry that it skipped over I think you've missed about half a turn. So I broke this. They attacked my stronghold. And then I almost lost, but I didn't. I played Hurricane Punch, Void Fist, loads of stuff just to win. And then I broke Haunted Jungles. And I was just kind of explaining some of the other things that happen. So obviously when provinces are broken, they discard. And I was also just reading some of the optional power-up difficulties, which are cunning, dangerous, greedy, and relentless, and unpredictable, that you can add to your game. And I was commenting that these are all ways that were playtested. So we playtested with pretty much all of these except 2 turned on, just because we thought they made sense. So cunning, for example, if the Shadowlands deck is winning, it passes its action. We always kind of played that way just because it made sense that the Shadowlands player wouldn't waste cards from its deck when it was already winning. Dangerous means the characters declare the conflict, which is their strongest conflict. So at the moment, if you're playing base format Shadowlands, you can choose which conflict value it is, and you can choose the goblins who have 4/2 come at you on political and don't come in at military. I always thought that it made more sense for the highest stat to be chosen. That's how I've always played. Because why would a goblin with 4 political, and there's some 0/8s in the deck as well. It made no sense for them to attack on military when they've got 8 skill in political. So I've never done that. But unless there's a large overlap, and then it's whichever number's bigger. But then obviously if a dash can't participate, then it doesn't. Greedy is interesting because the Shadowlands deck will always declare a conflict on the deck that has the highest, the ring that has the highest fate on. And I realized I haven't actually been putting fate on rings this game, which would have probably mixed things up a bit in terms of how much fate the Shadowlands player had to play with and how much fate I had to play with. But I just didn't get them out, so I didn't think about it. And you kind of just flip cards from the deck until you find one that matches the ring that has the highest fate on. And that's the number of province it attacks. Relentless is just 1 extra fate per character per round, which is a bit scary. And unpredictable is you basically decide every decision randomly by rolling a dice instead of the player choosing. Though I was saying that it's kind of interesting because I always play Arkham Horror rules, which is that you basically look at the board and you decide the worst choice for the players. And that's the choice you go with. Whereas I think some people might be kinder to themselves and pick options. And there's no right or wrong. But some people might be kinder to themselves and pick options that aren't as relevant, just to get a bit of an easier game. But I think if you're going to play this kind of format, it's all right to let the game beat you every now and then and try and optimize your deck and figure out ways to play it. So we're going in for the big final conflict. I think this may be the last conflict because I'm going to attack, and if I win, there are no cards left to discard from the deck, so I will actually get I will actually win. So I have to decide now between attacking this province, which will bring someone back with 1 fate on, or attacking this unknown province, which I'm not going to peek at. I thought I might peek at it, but I'm not going to cheat. I think, though, I'm going to go in for this one because I know what it is. And 1 extra defender, even if it's huge, isn't going to make a difference. So I'm attacking on political, because I don't want any of these skeletal warriors to defend. I think that's perfectly fair. But I will say that what that means is I'm probably going to have to fight another Rakshasa, or the Rakshasa again, because, as I say, you choose the option that's worst for the players. And the worst card that could be resurrected in this deck for a political conflict is the 2/9 Rakshasa Schemer. Prakara the Schemer is her name. And, Rakshasa are kind of like shape-shifting demons from the Ivory Kingdoms, version of the Shadowlands, and that's who we're going to have to fight. And do you know what? I don't know if this is going to go very well. So the Shadowlands player gets the first action. They are going to blank Mitsu's text box. Fantastic. And give him -2/-2. Great. So what I'm going to do in response to that is I'm going to use High House of Light on Mitsu. So he can't be targeted by events anymore, which means Gaijutsu is going to have a rough time. The Shadowlands player is going to give someone +5. Okay, well, that's fine. We don't really need to count that because this is a political conflict. So currently we are, like, the Shadowlands has 3, 6. This one is tainted. So the Shadowlands player has 15 political. I have 5, 6, 4, 7. So 15 versus 7, not so good. So yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna use that. They're gonna use Power of Jigoku. I'm gonna play another Togashi Acolyte, which I think will be the power card that's gonna win me the game. So I'll get 1 power from the Togashi Acolyte. How much did I say I had? 5, 6, 4, 7. So now I have 8, 9. Strength versus 15. Okay. So the Shadowlands player will take an action. 0. This guy's going to get a tainted token and +1/+1. So that's going to be a bit more of a boost for them. We'll work it out in a second because, you know, it's going to keep going up. I am going to let go the thing that blanks Mitsu and get another 1, 2, so 11. Shadowlands player is going to Direct Assault. It can't play Direct Assault, which is good because that would bring the Warlord into play in the conflict. I don't know if you remember the Warlords. It kind of disappoints me. There's actually very few ways. Oh, I haven't even been doing this ability. Oh, after you collect Fate in the Dynasty phase, remove 2 random cards. I don't know how much this would have worked, but basically every turn it has a random chance to bow 2 of your characters. So I haven't been doing that. I apologize. The game is ruined. Throw it away. There's no fidelity here. But like with any board game, I mean, it takes a few tries to get things right. So that happens. I am going to. I don't have that many options. I'm going to play a Hawk Tattoo on Mitsu to get another +2 from my acolytes, bringing me up to 13. The Shadowlands player is going to Drawn to Blood. If attacking province is tainted, which it isn't, I don't think. No, it's not. Okay, so that doesn't go off. Now we get to shuffle this. So Shadowlands player still has 1 fate, could still come up with something nasty. It is still winning the conflict by about 5, but I am about to Void Fist something, so that will probably turn things around in my favor once this schemer is gone. Okay, so then I think the next option, because I've beaten her in strength, is to Void Fist the schemer. Go back into my deck, which will drastically reduce the amount of force that I'm fighting. So now I'm fighting 4, 6, 9, and I'm on 13, so I'm still not breaking, by the way. But, well, no, I get another +2, don't I? So I am actually breaking now. The Shadowlands player has 1 last chance to stop me. It has Violence and Evil, so it doesn't do anything. Then I pass, and whoo, I won that game. Now, critics may say, oh, but Finbar, you didn't show us what happened. You were off screen for a whole 2 minutes. You could have changed your deck. Well, I didn't. I will firmly admit to my mistakes this game. For example, not counting the champion's ability properly, not putting Fate on rings for the Shadowlands player to take. But, you know, that's the sort of thing that's going to happen in this kind of game. You know, I haven't played L5R in about a year in physical cards anyway. I've been playing online a bit. But you know, I'm a bit rusty. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I think you will see the Shadowlands deck is quite difficult, especially if it wins conflicts. It can snowball very quickly. So you kind of just got to be very wary of it. And like previously, like the tower strategies that people played in the main version of the game don't necessarily work so well against the Shadowlands because they have a lot of ways to bow and corrupt and taint and that kind of thing, your characters. So it's not like you can just do whatever you want. You know, there are some negative options there that are going to hurt. They're going to eat your guys, and they're going to bow your guys with their abilities and things like that. So there we go. I'm kind of going to wrap up the video because it's getting a bit late and I'm getting a bit tired. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties that have happened during this recording. You know, I try and stop that from happening, but I don't know why the video cut out twice. But I hope you found it interesting nonetheless. And I think my rating of Shadowlands, I've always said it's a fantastic set. I playtested it. I thought it was fantastic then. I still think it is. I think what it brings to the L5R collection you have at home. Like, I'm not, to be honest, like, I don't think it's good enough that, and this might get me in trouble with FFG, but I don't genuinely think it's good enough that someone who hasn't got a collection of L5R should go out and get one. I think that there are so many other good FFG co-op games or other co-op games or other games that people can play that are just better. And I think board gaming, I think you've got a lot of card games like this. I think you've got stuff like Arkham Horror and things like that. So I don't necessarily think that this is a game that people who don't play L5R should go out and get, right? And I'll say that. I mean, some people might just look at this video and look at what I've seen and it's like, no, I want to play this. It's samurai fighting demons in a fictional version of Japan. I want to do that. I want to play against that. That sounds amazing. Some people might see that and that just might be right up their street. If that's you, then my recommendation is to pick up at least one core set and a clan pack of the clan of your choosing. So that should be about 30 quid. And the Shadowlands set, I would recommend playing Skirmish with those options, just because you won't have as many cards. So it's kind of a good idea to use that reduced option for smaller decks, and you'll look up the Skirmish rules on the FFG website. It's a way for playing with less cards. I would recommend you do that. And the Shadowlands deck is a bit easier as well if you're playing Skirmish. And I would say go to town with it. I think you can get into that game that you've just seen for about 50, 60 quid. And it's not a bad board game for the price of 50, 60 quid. Though I will say, take it for what it is. It's not getting any more expansions unless some fans start making stuff. Who would imagine? It's not going to get any more content. But, you can buy the existing L5R cards to expand the player side of it. So there's a lot of expandability on the player side, but I think if you buy it with the knowledge that there isn't going to be any future content coming out, then you're going to realize that actually there's not a lot of options for continuing on beyond what you've already done. So there's kind of like some positives and negatives there. I would say, by all means get it. Just I wouldn't recommend, unless it really becomes your favorite game. I don't know if I'd recommend buying the whole L5R collection just to be able to play this. But hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you like what you've seen and you like the game that's being offered and you just want to get every single way to play with it, then do that. I personally think it's fantastic. I think if you own a set of L5R, this will breathe new life into it. And it will just be a really, really good way to finish your collection. And, this set, as someone who's played L5R for years, is a fantastic way to enjoy your cards. And if this had come out, it would have renewed a lot of interest in the game. And if FFG had continued to expand on this set with lots of other expansions, in addition to its continuing support for the LCG, it probably would have found itself getting a lot more players interested in the LCG who would have used this as a pathway to get in. But we're not going down the what could have FFG have done to save the LCG route, because let's face it, they haven't got the money to pay me to do it, and they wouldn't. And also, we just don't really. That's kind of, that ship has sailed. The Emerald Legacy is here now. It's going to take care of any sort of fan continuation and fan-made products for the foreseeable future. There should be an announcement. Put that away. There should be an announcement this week that I'm writing for someone just about what that's going to entail and what our first sort of announcements and things like that are. So, look forward to that. As always, anime, I know I'm not doing as much L5R content as I have previously. That will ramp up again once the Emerald Legacy stuff starts kicking off, because, you know, as one of the interim coordinators of that project, I do obviously have a very good window into everything we've been doing and why and how. And you can see I did an interview with the Emerald Dojo talking about the pitfalls that we've run into and things people have advised us to do and not to do, and all of those things as to, you know, how we can improve and why we're doing the things we're doing. So, you know, I will say that expect more discussion on that once we get further into it. So if you are interested in enough of our content, you are watching this, you know, do still stay subscribed, stay liking the channel. There will be more Alpha of our content coming out when I have time for it. If you are willing to try other games, then stick around as well, because obviously we have Flesh and Blood, we have other games that I'm going to be playing too. So, you know, don't be put off by you know, not necessarily seeing the content for the game you want all the time, because there will be other content out there too.